Imagine pulling into your quiet suburban street after a long business trip, only to see thick black smoke billowing from what used to be your dream home. The one you paid off with years of sweat and sacrifice. Now reduced to a charred skeleton while your neighbors stand around like spectators at a bad barbecue, doing zilch. But wait, it gets worse. There, in the midst of the chaos, stands the neighborhood's self-appointed queen bee, clipboard in hand, smirking like she just won the lottery, spewing nonsense about how this tragedy might teach you to follow the rules. And the kicker? This isn't some freak accident. It's straight-up arson, orchestrated by the very HOA tyrants who've been harassing you for years, all because you dared to say no to their petty power trip. In the heart of Willow Creek Estates, a picture-perfect slice of American suburbia in Virginia, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the relentless sun and every mailbox matched like soldiers in formation, lived Alex Rivera. Alex wasn't your typical resident. He was a guy who'd clawed his way up from nothing, a sharp-minded attorney who'd just been quietly promoted to a federal prosecutor's office, handling white-collar crimes that made headlines but kept him under the radar. His house on Elmwood Drive was modest by the neighborhood standards. No flashy extensions or imported fountains. Just a cozy two-story with a backyard garden where he grew heirloom tomatoes and herbs, a quiet escape from the courtroom grind. But in Willow Creek, quiet wasn't enough. The HOA, led by the infamous Barbara "Barb" Kensington, known to everyone as the ultimate Karen with her pearl necklace, yoga pants, and a voice that could curdle milk, ruled with an iron fist wrapped in a velvet glove of community standards. Barb, a former real estate agent who'd clawed her way to HOA president 5 terms running, preached about unity and property values at every mandatory meeting. But really, it was all about control. She and her board of yes-men enforced rules so absurd they could have been satire. No visible trash cans after 8 a.m. Fences exactly 4.5 feet high, not an inch more, lest it disrupt harmony. And God forbid you planted a rose bush without pre-approval. Alex had moved in 8 years ago, inheriting the house from his late aunt. And from day one, he'd politely declined to join the HOA. "I'm good with just being a neighbor," he'd say with a smile. But inside, he saw the red flags, the way Barb's eyes narrowed at anyone who questioned a fee hike, the rumors of fines piling up on non-compliant folks until they sold and fled. Whispers spread. Alex was that guy, the one who thought he was above it all, probably hiding something shady in that garden of his. "You know, people like him bring down the whole vibe," Barb would mutter at block parties, her voice dripping with false concern while sipping Chardonnay. Alex heard the gossip, the sidelong glances at the grocery store, the anonymous notes in his mailbox warning him to conform or face consequences. But he stayed silent, observing, documenting every petty violation notice she slapped on his door. He knew better than to react hot-headed. Patience was his weapon, honed from years prosecuting crooks who thought they were untouchable. Started small, the way these suburban wars always do. One crisp autumn morning, Alex stepped out to water his tomatoes and found a bright pink violation slip taped to his front door like a scarlet letter. Unauthorized vegetation. It read in Barb's meticulous handwriting. Your garden exceeds the approved aesthetic guidelines. Remove immediately or face fines commencing at $50 per day. Alex chuckled to himself. His tomatoes? Really? But he played along, trimming a few vines while snapping photos of the notice, noting the date and time. "Barb, come on," he muttered under his breath, imagining her perched in her SUV, binoculars in hand, policing the block like a low-rent spy. That evening, at the HOA's monthly community forum, A glorified gripe session in the clubhouse where Barb held court like a queen. She cornered him in the parking lot. "Alex, darling," she cooed, her smile all teeth and no warmth. "We're all in this together. Why fight the flow? Sign up, pay the dues, and poof, no more little pink slips." Her voice had that saccharine edge, the kind that masked a threat. Alex kept his cool. "Appreciate the concern, Barb, but I'm fine as is. My garden's not hurting anyone." She tilted her head, eyes flashing. "Oh, but it is. Standards, Alex. Without them, we're just chaos." He walked away, feeling her stare boring into his back. But inside, he was cataloging the way her board members, like slimy sidekick Harold the accountant and gossipy Eileen the secretary, nodded along like bobbleheads. Over the next months, the notices escalated. His mailbox was non-conforming because it had a tiny dent from a kid's baseball. His car parked 2 inches over the curb line one night earned a $100 fine, waived only if he attended a compliance seminar. Rumors flew. "Alex is probably growing weed in that garden," Barb whispered to the book club ladies, her voice laced with mock horror. "I mean, why else hide behind independence?" Alex endured it, smiling through gritted teeth at neighborhood barbecues where everyone tiptoed around him like he was radioactive. But he wasn't idle. Late nights, he'd review HOA bylaws on his laptop, cross-referencing with state laws, spotting loopholes in their voluntary enforcement that smelled like coercion. "They're overreaching," he'd think, filing away emails from anonymous neighbors sharing their own horror stories. Fines for holiday lights too bright. Liens on homes for unpaid beautification fees. Barb's reign felt airtight, her board meetings a farce of scripted approvals. But Alex saw the cracks. Her fear of losing the election next year. The way she'd snap at questions about where dues really went. Spoiler: fancy luncheons and her personal landscaping. He bided his time, knowing one push too far would unravel her. The tension simmered like a pot left on low. But Barb, ever the control freak, couldn't leave well enough alone. Winter brought snow, and with it, a new rule. Sidewalks must be cleared within 2 hours of snowfall, or else. Alex shoveled promptly, but one stormy night, a delay due to a late court session left a thin layer lingering. Bam, another violation, this one with a photo attached, time-stamped at midnight. Who the hell is out photographing snow at midnight? Alex grumbled, but he paid the fine to avoid escalation, all while installing discreet security cams around his property. Just in case, he told himself, but deep down, he knew Barb's pettiness was escalating to paranoia. Spring thawed the ground, and so did the rumors. Now Alex was antisocial, probably evading taxes, whispers fueled by Barb's subtle sabotage. At a neighborhood Easter egg hunt, she pulled him aside, her voice a venomous whisper. "Alex, we're a family here. Families contribute. If you keep this up, well, accidents happen to properties that don't fit in." Her eyes gleamed with that faux-maternal concern, but Alex caught the undertone, the way her fingers tightened on her clipboard like a weapon. "Is that a threat, Barb?" he asked calmly, his prosecutor instincts kicking in. She laughed it off, too quickly. "Oh, heavens no, just friendly advice. We all want what's best." But that night, his garden was vandalized, tomato plants uprooted, soil scattered like a crime scene. No proof, of course, but the footprints matched the sensible loafers Barb favored. Neighbors clucked their tongues. "See? That's what happens when you buck the system. Alex didn't rage. Instead, he replanted, upgraded his cams to night vision, and started a private log of incidents, cross-referencing with public records on HOA finances. He discovered discrepancies, dues vanishing into miscellaneous accounts, board members' homes getting free upgrades. They're running a racket, he realized, his patience turning to calculated resolve. Barb, sensing resistance, amped up the pressure. Anonymous calls to his office hinting at community complaints, fake noise reports to the cops that wasted his evenings explaining. At one board meeting, he crashed uninvited. She sneered from the podium. "Mr. Rivera, this is for members only. But since you're here, perhaps you'd like to explain why your independence is dragging down our property values." The room tittered nervously, her board nodding like trained seals. Alex stood tall. "Actually, Barb, I'd love to hear why dues funded your new patio last year." Her face flushed, but she recovered with a pious sigh. "All for the greater good, dear. You wouldn't understand." The crowd bought it, but Alex saw her squirm, the first chink in her armor. As summer heated up, so did the harassment, his mail tampered with, bills lost until late fees piled up. Barb's emails to the board leaked accidentally, or so she claimed, calling Alex a cancer on our harmony. He printed them, adding to his dossier, whispering to himself, "Keep digging your grave, Barb." The neighborhood felt suffocating, every wave hello laced with judgment. But Alex observed, waited, knowing her overreach would be her downfall. Then came the blaze that lit the fuse. Alex had been away for a 3-day seminar in Baltimore, dissecting fraud cases that mirrored the HOA's shenanigans. He drove back under a clear July sky, briefcase heavy with notes, dreaming of a cold beer on his porch. But as he turned onto Elmwood Drive, the acrid stench hit him first, smoke, thick and choking, curling like dark fingers over the rooftops. His heart plummeted. Flames licked the sky from his address, his sanctuary engulfed in an inferno that roared like a beast unleashed. He slammed on the brakes, sprinting toward the chaos, briefcase forgotten in the street. Neighbors clustered across the road, murmuring in hushed tones, phones filming the spectacle like it was primetime entertainment. Fire trucks idled, hoses retracted, the blaze contained but the damage total, his home a blackened husk. "What the hell happened?" Alex gasped to the fire chief, a grizzled vet packing up gear. The man hesitated, glancing sideways. "Started around dawn. Accelerants everywhere, gasoline-soaked rags, some homemade chemical mix under the deck. Not accidental, sir. Arson. Plain as day." Alex's blood ran cold, but before he could process, that shrill voice pierced the air like a siren. "Oh, Alex, what a tragedy." But perhaps this is a wake-up call about respecting community guidelines. There she was, Barb Kensington, strutting through the smoke like a peacock in pearls, clipboard clutched like a shield, her platinum bob unmussed, lips pursed in feigned sympathy. "We've warned you, haven't we? No HOA means no protection. Who knows what riffraff wanders in when standards slip?" Her tone was all honeyed concern, but her eyes danced with triumph. The absurdity of her standing there, judging a fire like a lawn infraction, almost laughable if it weren't so infuriating. Alex whirled on her, voice steady despite the rage bubbling. "You think this is funny, Barb? My life's work up in flames. And you're preaching about rules." She clicked her tongue, shifting uncomfortably but doubling down. Well, if you joined like a good neighbor, maybe we'd have neighborhood watch patrols. But no, Mr. Independent had to play lone wolf. Now look, faulty wiring, dry brush, these things happen to non-compliant properties. She blinked too fast, realizing her slip, but recovered with a sniff. I mean, sad, truly. But rules exist for a reason. Alex stared, piecing it together, the timing, her smugness, the way her lackeys hovered nearby, avoiding eye contact. You did this, he whispered, not accusing yet, but testing. Barb laughed, a brittle, forced cackle. Me? Oh, please. I'm just here to offer support. This is why we need unity. She turned away, heels clicking on the pavement, but Alex caught her whisper to Harold, see? Stubborn to the end. The crowd dispersed, no one offering help, just pitying glances that screamed, you asked for it. But Barb had miscalculated. She thought Alex was broken, another victim who'd fold or flee. She didn't know his day job involved dismantling syndicates far craftier than her clipboard cabal. As the embers cooled, Alex pulled out his phone, dialing a contact at the FBI. This is Assistant U.S. Attorney Alex Rivera. I need an arson team and racketeering specialists. Yeah, it's personal, and it's bigger than you think. The agents arrived swiftly, unmarked vans blending into the dusk, techs swarming the site with kits and cameras. Agent Reyes, a no-nonsense Latina with a clipboard of her own, irony noted, approached. Mr. Rivera, we've got potassium permanganate traces, pro-grade stuff, not hardware store junk. This was deliberate. Alex nodded toward Barb's house. Lights on, curtains twitching. Start with the HOA board. They've been targeting me for years. Reyes raised an eyebrow. A neighborhood group? Bold claim. Not a claim, fact. And I've got the paper trail. As agents subpoenaed cams and records, Barb watched from her window, her artificial poise cracking, whispering frantic calls to her board. He can't prove anything. Stick to the script, community service, not sabotage. But Alex, from his hotel room that night, smiled grimly. The hunt was on, and her empire was crumbling. The unraveling hit like a storm, each revelation peeling back Barb's facade until her lopsided logic lay exposed. Raw and ridiculous. Federal agents dug deep, uncovering a web of deceit that made Alex's initial suspicions look tame. First, the SUV footage, Barb's gleaming black behemoth caught on a neighbor's ring cam slinking away at 4 a.m., plates clear as day. Routine patrol, she claimed when confronted, but her voice quavered, her board scattering like rats. We check for violations at all hours, for safety, Harold stammered in interrogation. Sweat beading. It was just enforcement. But the forensics nailed it. Fingerprints on the accelerant canister matched Dennis. Harold's credit card purchase at a chemical supply store, billed as pool maintenance. Alex, testifying in a packed courtroom months later, faced Barb across the aisle, her once impeccable suit rumpled, eyes darting. Ms. Kensington, the prosecutor probed. Explain this email. Rivera is T3, full removal needed. Fire purifies. Barb fidgeted. Her response a masterpiece of absurdity. Metaphor, I meant. Motivational fire. Like team spirit. The jury stifled laughs. But Alex's gaze bored in. His voice calm. You burned my home because I wouldn't pay your extortion fees. Revelations piled. Poisoned pets for dissenters. Vandalized cars. Even rigged appraisals to tank sales. Former Secretary Eileen flipped, tearfully confessing. Barb said, "If they won't join, make 'em regret it." We poured sugar in gas tanks. Filed fake liens, all for harmony. The media frenzy hit, headline screaming, "Suburban Mob, HOA's Reign of Terror," as Barb's moral high ground crumbled into laughable excuses. "It's about standards," she wailed in court. But the judge's gavel silenced her as guilty verdicts rolled in. Arson, racketeering, fraud. Sentenced to 20 years. Barb's final plea was pathetic. "I was protecting our way of life." Alex watched her led away, the hollowness in her eyes a sweet, dark comedy after years of her tyranny. In the aftermath, Willow Creek breathed free. The HOA dissolved. Assets redistributed to victims like reparations from a fallen regime. Alex rebuilt, not just his house, now with a defiant vegetable garden and a no HOA tyranny sign, but the community, chairing reforms that mandated transparency for all associations statewide. Neighbors, once silent enablers, now grilled freely without fines, their apologies laced with awe. "We were scared, but you took her down." Peace settled like fresh soil. But as Alex sipped coffee on his new porch, watching kids play unchecked, he pondered the deeper rot. Was Barb the villain, or just a symptom of a system that lets petty despots flourish unchecked? Tell me in the comments. In a world where community masks control, is refusing to conform always the crime? Or does true justice start with burning down the rules themselves?